2 or 3 weeks, I back to the recording. The reason behind that, the YouTube channel has been blocked. But finally, I recovered it and I found a very amazing guest from New Zealand, Mr. Prajesh. Hello, Mr. Prajesh.
Hi, Mudassir. Thank you for having me. It's great to be on here.
Thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure.
Uh, Prajesh, first of all, I need to know, personally, I have an interest to learn something more about NLP, and I have done a course as well regarding the organizational behavior. And in that, I get to know something about NLP. Before that, I haven't such knowledge about it. But before we discuss NLP in detail, I want to know about yourself.
Yeah, totally. No, fantastic. Yeah, we'll come on to NLP a bit later on. So, thank you to everybody that's listening wherever you are in the world. Hopefully, you're fantastic. Like Mudassir said, my name is Prajesh, and I currently live in New Zealand. But I was not born here. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, so in Southern Africa. Born and raised there, and I spent most of my life in Africa. I went to university in South Africa. And then during my time when I was at university, things in my home country went really bad. So the economic situation and it brought a lot of civil unrest. So it was not viable for me to stay there. And my parents decided that, hey, you need to leave the country. And I ended up in New Zealand. And this is how I ended up here.
I guess it's also
If somebody,
difficult to find a new place. So how did you find out that this is the place to move on?
yeah, so it's really quite interesting because I'm from when I'm on a Zimbabwean passport at that time because Zimbabwe was in such a crazy state. Most countries were not willing to take Zimbabwean citizens into their countries under asylum or refugee, and the only way you could leave the country was if you went to study on a student visa. And yeah, that's how I left the country because the only place that accepted me to be studying was the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand, and it just came down purely to price. As you know, as an international student, wherever you go in the world, they just charge you crazy prices, and New Zealand was the cheapest place, and that's what it was. That's basically how I ended up in New Zealand.
Acha, you did your bachelor's and master's from Zimbabwe.
I did my bachelor's in South Africa, and then did my master's in New Zealand.
Fine. When did you decided to learn about the NLP?
Yeah, great. So if I backtrack a little bit, my background is in computer science and information systems. So that's my background in my study.
Great.
And then I did my master's in health and technology and da 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 da. And NLP came into my world probably in 2019. A little bit. That's when I heard about it. I didn't
Just
do too
before
much about
COVID.
it. And then just before COVID, exactly. And then it's quite funny because COVID was the year when I actually went and did digital NLP training. It's really quite funny because NLP, and with my background in computer science, programming in is programming out. And as I started learning about NLP, basically it's about language. The language that you have processing out
Yeah.
versus your head is so surreal. So the synergy between computer science and actually the way our brains work was really quite it made a lot of sense to me, and it's really quite powerful when you become aware of these things here. And as you said, you've become aware of it and you've done some things, so you can notice how
Yeah.
there's quite a crazy synergy between the two.
To understand about the mind, what is thinking, if I'm doing something, to what's the reason behind that? This is, I guess, you learn
Yeah,
in NLP, understand the human
yeah,
behavior.
100%. And for those of you that don't know what NLP stands for, it stands for neuro linguistic programming. So the language of the brain and how we are programmed and cultivated to believe and to say things, and how our language that we say or the language that we hear affects everything that we do in our day-to-day life, even though it's subconscious. It's a lot of it's subconscious.
Yeah,
And the NLP is to bring you to the conscious of your subconscious, which is pretty crazy.
great. Once you're done with your NLP learning, and then you start practicing it. So the first
Yes.
client or the first person which you deal, and now till today, the first experience.
Yeah, anything you do the first is always hard. Anything you do the first is always hard. So I was making lots of, you have all the theoretical knowledge, which is all great, but
Yeah.
the practice is very, very, very different. So, between my first client and however many clients I've had between, so that was in 2021 was my first client. My program was actually an 8-month program. So it was a full program as opposed to a weekend program. So it was almost 9 month program. So it was really intense. And then my first client, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I knew nothing. I was like, oh, damn it. It's like, when you learn how to build something by watching a YouTube clip, and when you actually build that, oh, two very different things. You know,
It
like a
happens, yeah.
podcast, you know,
Even number
like a
of times
podcast,
the
you know.
people share the cooking recipes, or once they try to implement it, they find a very disaster in that.
Yeah, totally, totally. You know, everything. So the first client was an absolute disaster, but luckily it was just a person that I knew, so it was all good. But as you keep practicing and practicing, but also for myself, I had to become aware of it. You know, as I realized when you do these things, you also have to become aware of yourself. So, and now the impact that it has and the clients that I've had, it's so I've really enjoyed this because it empowers a person. You know, like I said before, it's so subconscious, but when you get trained, you listen for the words that someone says. So words like, you know, for example, when it's every year people have New Year's resolutions, which is what's happened
Hmm, hmm,
recently,
hmm,
and someone will say, I should lose weight, I should do this, I
hmm.
should do that. The word should implicates a lot of things. It shows a lot behind it. And when you dig deeper, you realize actually that the person only should do something because of other people, as opposed to, you know, I want to do something. So simple language like that makes such a big change. And you know, when you work with clients in those spaces there, the amount of change that you've seen is just dramatic.
Generally, it's very common. Every person make a resolution regarding their health,
Yes.
and on the very first January, there is no action plan.
Yeah. And that's right. You know, we always wait for the 1st of January. I don't know why. Why can't we just do it tomorrow or
Yeah,
today or right now? You know, it's because of the way we've been
mindset.
conditioned. Again, we've been so conditioned that, you know, 1st of January is when we should have a new year, and it doesn't last. It doesn't last very long because you're doing it because it's something that you should do, as
So,
opposed to, hey,
what's the experience? Why we everything that yeah, we do this thing from tomorrow, and then the
yeah,
next day will come. We again plan, okay, we'll do start from the tomorrow. We
yeah,
always try to procrastinate or delay the things.
yeah. That's and when I work with people, when they say if you do it tomorrow, that means
Hmm.
it's not a priority.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a priority. Oh, I'll do this tomorrow. Okay. If it's that important for you, why won't you start today? You don't have to do everything today, but if you start today, so for example, if you want to write a book, why would you wait
Hmm.
tomorrow? Write one line today. If you want
Yes.
to do an exercise, do one push up today. If you want to eat healthy, eat a
Yeah.
fruit today. Why wait till tomorrow? You know?
Again, one more problem is that we are confused that these are our own objectives, or we are just influenced by others' ones. If someone's fit, why shouldn't I be look like her or his?
100%.
Then you started the
100%. So as you said before, you got to go down to, sorry.
I
So I think that's,
please continue.
sorry.
Sorry.
You know, so I think that is a very, very profound point, because, you know, it's not about, it's, we always talk about the why. Why do you want to do something? And when you break it right down, like I said before, are you doing it because it's an objective thing that somebody else says, or it comes from you? And many of the clients that I work with, when you strip it down, their why is not strong. Oh,
Hmm.
I'm doing it because my neighbor is doing it. I'm doing it because, and that
Yes.
never works.
Yes.
I'll give you an example of a client that I worked with. A client that I worked with, always wanted to lose weight, always wanted to lose weight, but was not, you know, they were running, they were doing everything, but they were not losing any weight. And when we stripped it away, why they wanted to do it, they wanted it because they wanted to be like other people. But when we
Hmm.
shifted the focus and go, actually, let's
Mindset.
change it around. And now we said, okay, cool, what's more important? If you're not healthy, what happens?
Hmm.
And they shifted away from the physical attributes to, hey, if I'm not healthy, I can't run with my children. I can't do this here.
Yes.
And once we shifted that mindset totally, the weight started coming off, because
Then
now
magic will happen.
exactly, the magic will happen. The magic will happen. That's right.
Personally, I also experience these all things. That number of times we are
Yeah,
just making the objective resolution just to inspire the others, or we are just inspired from others. This
that's
is
right. Exactly.
not a personal interest, and obviously, when you do not have any personal interest, so after a certain period of time, you will lose it or forget it, and then lose interest in that.
Totally, totally. You have to be invested into whatever you're doing, and there has to be some. This sounds really, really, really crazy, but sometimes you have to be selfish. You have to go, okay, what is my personal gain? What am I gaining in this goals resolution? Am I gaining good health? Great. Am I gaining a good financial? What is my gain? Growth.
So, Prajesh, one more thing which I want to know: being a coach, which part you
Yes.
enjoyed being a coaching, and which part you not like it? Okay, why I every time face these kinds of clients? So, which part you
Yeah.
enjoyed a lot, and which you feel, yeah, why I face these things again and again?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, you know, this coaching journey is not an easy journey. You know, you jump
Yes.
online, everyone's like, "Oh, you can be a coach." It doesn't work like that. You know, I teach coaches. I teach in a space as well where I work with some people that everybody wants to be a coach, but not everybody can be a coach. You first have your
Yes.
own journey.
Yes.
What do I enjoy? What I enjoy about the moment where the client has the moment where they go, aha, that moment. Everyone says it's the eureka moment, but from there the action. So there's always words, but the action is to go, hey, now I can actually see where, because we all live in blinkers. I live with the blinker. Even a coach needs a coach, and I need those blinkers to be taken away. So when you have a client that is willing and open to acknowledge and say, hey, I need your help. That's the best way. The hardest ones are clients who refuse to see their shortcomings, and I see it all the time. They'll come to see you, and then you will say a couple of things and suggest a couple of things and ask the questions, but they don't. In coaching, the role of a coach is to ask the questions, as you know, not to. We don't give any solutions. But if the
Yes.
client is not being honest with the answers, then you can't have any solutions. And that's what frustrates you, because you can say, oh, come on, you know the answer, and you have to hold you back and say, I can't give you the answer. It's right there. So those are two kinds of clients that really, ones that come open-minded versus ones that are like, okay, I'm just paying you the money because X, Y, Z, but I don't believe in it.
And just for
Yeah.
the clarity purpose, coaching is that where you are not going to give the solution to that person. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. That is correct. That is
So how
correct.
much is it
So
difficult to work with in this process? You have to be encourage or put make that scenario where the person give the solution of their own problem.
that's right. So which is why, as I said before, not everybody can be. Everyone says you can be a coach, but it's not. It's a skill set, and I've
Hmm.
learned this over a few years. It's a skill set. You think about people like Tony Robbins or all these coaches. They have learned a lot and they studied away. They won't give you a solution. If you ever watch a Tony Robbins, or
Hmm.
they'll ask you a question, which is a suggestive question, and then you go, "Oh, Tony Robbins actually gave the answer," but actually he didn't. He just gave
You,
you the question, which you then found the answer to, right? So it's about targeting those questions very, very carefully while you're listening to the person's what they're saying in their own language.
the project you called yourself as a crossroad coach. What's the concept is that?
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So again, as you can imagine, trying to create a niche in this crazy, crazy world of coaching, anything is really quite challenging. So the reason why I came to a Crossroads Coach is because everyone in our lives comes to a state where we come to a crossroad. All of us, there's a crossroad of, I want to change my career. I want to change my relationship. Maybe I want to change something. I want to change something but we know we have to make the change, but we don't change.
Hmm.
So in my role as a coach, we talk about, right, cool, why every one of us knows what to do, right? We know if you want to be healthy, you have to do this. If you want to change your job, you have to do X, Y, Z. But what stops us from doing that then? So in my position as a coach, we dig deeper as to why do we not make that change? So are we, again, are we just thinking we have to change because we see other people changing, or do we want to change because there's an actual reason to change? So that's the space that I work in. So I do NLP, but I've also trained in mindset and all these other different modalities as well. And I think you'll find most coaches have a wide range of modalities
Yeah.
to suit the different clients. Yes.
As a project, there's a one very common or interesting part is that every human being take a breath. There
Yep.
is no science in that. We do not, as a common man, we do not know, okay, is there in the science in that? Being a breathe instructor, what you have in observe, okay, how much the breathe is,
Oh,
the style is
yeah.
important or matter in your life. Because being a common man,
Yeah.
this is a very common. We are alive. That's why we inhale and exhale.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. So, one of the other modalities I have is breath work. So let's do an exercise together, for our listeners as well. So I want you to close your eyes. Just close your eyes now. We'll do it together. We'll do it together.
Oh.
So you'll close your eyes. Yes, you close your eyes, and I'll instruct you what to do. And what I want you to do is you're just going to listen to my voice, and we're going to do this here. We're going to breathe in on the count of 5. We're going to hold for 6 and breathe out for 7, and then hold for 8. And we'll do that 3 times, and I'll do the counting. Okay, you to do. If you do it 3 times a day, even for our listeners out there, 3 times a day. So when I say 3 times a day, you do that hold for 5, breathe in for 5, hold for 6, breathe out for 7, hold for 5. That's 1. Do it 3 times, and then do it morning, afternoon, or night, or whenever you feel stressed out. You will just feel It's not even a minute. It's not even a minute long, and you'll feel different.
Prajesh, move to another part is that you have worked with around
Yeah.
70,000 people. How
Yes.
was that? It's a long list. How was it experience?
Yeah, it's a culmination of a lot of years. I've been working as a coach profession. I've been working as my own business coach for the last 4 years or 5 years. But before that, I was also working. I was coaching, but I wasn't under the coaching title. And as I reflect back on that, it's yeah, there's one-on-one and there's big group coaching, and now ever since post-COVID, lots of online coaching as well,
Mm,
and lots of
mm,
online group work. And group work, the power of group work is really, really amazing. When I teach in group work, or when I work in group work settings, it's really powerful because people learn from each other. You know, they can group work session I can go with them. There'll be people from all around the world, from Pakistan, from
great.
America, from South Africa. Anyway, but the cultural construct as they share with each other is really, really powerful. So yeah, I never think about the numbers because you just don't think about it, and you just put it down when you're doing marketing. Oh yeah, marketing sounds cool, but when you're actually doing it, you don't think about it because everyone is an individual.
The Prajesh,
Yeah,
you deal with a number of clients. So most of the clients are from which state or which country?
from everywhere, everywhere, because the world of online has just changed everything. So
Yes.
you can reach, the global reach is really massive, and I work with a really fantastic organization. Actually, I work at organization in Australia, an organization in New Zealand, an organization in Pakistan as well. What we find is, especially in Southeast Asia, Southeast Asian countries or Southeast Asian communities, the concept of coaching is still a really hard thing to fathom.
Mm,
If a coach is like, no, if I'm going to see a coach, why am I going to see a counselor? And a counselor is very different to a
mm,
coach. So with this organization called Grit, we're really trying to break down lower the barrier, the cost barrier of coaching, but also say, hey, coaching is really how you can level up and how you can break those cultural norms. A lot of in Southeast Asia and Southeast Asian cultures, there's a lot of cultural barriers which
mm.
block a lot of people from saying, hey, you don't have to do that. You're doing it just because it's the cultural norm. But and then if you do it, you feel guilty. So we want to say, hey, even if you do it, you don't have to feel guilty. If it's the right thing, right in inverted commas for you to do.
Prajesh, thank you so much. I love to talk to you. And last, I just want to one few more things. What advice you
Yeah,
want to give
sure.
to the new ones who wants to become a coach?
Number one is think about number one, you have to do the work yourself. So
Yeah.
before you become a coach, you need to make sure that you are okay in yourself and that you're open to learn and open to say,
Mm,
I don't know things. I think that's the biggest learning. And number two is it takes time. Nothing happens overnight. There's lots of people out there that'll say you can become a coach in 3 days or 5 days or whatever. Nothing happens in 3 days or 5 days. It's a learning process that you keep on doing over and over again. And if you're going to sign up for those things, then you're wasting your money. This is a long process. 6, 8, 9 months before you can actually become confident. And one thing that I like to talk about is in the coaching we have a process that you learn. A bit like a programmer, like a doctor, like anything, there's a process that you learn, which is why you go and pay money to these people or you go and see these people because they know the process. So it's important to understand that, yes.
is there any international certifications you want to prefer to go for it?
Oh, coaching has got certification. I mean, there's so many certifications out there. There's no standardized certification.
Yeah.
But sometimes on saying that there as well, a lot of people don't um, struggle or they extend their coaching thing
Mm,
because they feel like they have to be certified. But
yeah.
we all have experience. We all have experience in our life. Once you learn
Yes.
the process, you don't have to have the qualification. You just all right, cool. Because some of these certifications they cost a lot of money, and that will
Yes.
stop you.
Yes. Yes.
So you go actually wait a minute. If I know what I'm doing and I'm really confident what I'm doing, it's okay.
So and the last one
Which
more part, Rajesh. Uh, how much the society or the person or the individual is aware about that he needs a coaching. When you're dealing with the organizations making the environment where they provide the trainings to their employees. But being an individual, how do I get aware about that? Yeah, I need to consult with some coach.
Yeah, and that's very it's a great question. That's a fantastic question. Most organizations now have coaches or they have training development
Mm,
which helps you. As an individual, what you should do is you need to think about your life and go, where in my life am I stagnant? Where am I not moving forward? And then if you find that, you go, actually, why am I stagnant here? What is happening here? Then you go, right, maybe I need a coach, or I need someone else to come and see my world and go, what, and have a look at it. And maybe I'm not stagnant. Maybe I think I'm stagnant, but maybe they'll move me forward. Yeah. Because, there's also lots of different
Yeah.
presuppositions and lots of different things that we have that we go, right, cool, why do we do this here? And there's lots of simple exercises that you can do. And the key thing also for anyone listening is you've got to find a coach that you can resonate with. But also you need to find a coach that is going to be challenging. It's going to challenge you. So what do I mean by that? If you think about most people that are successful in their lives, if we take coaching comes from the word coach actually comes from the sporting analogy. Sports has coaches. So why do sports teams have coaches? They have coaches because a coach looks at the big picture.
Yeah.
They look at the big picture. So the same thing happens when you come to a coach. They look at the big picture in your life. So you might go, for example, I'm stuck for example, my health. Okay, that's you might focus on that there. But if you step back in the big picture and go, actually, wait a minute, it's not your health. You're actually not, your work-life balance is totally out the window. This is
Yes.
out the window. So that's what the purpose of a coach is. So if you think about the sporting analogy, coach looks at the big picture, same thing here. So, and a good coach is going to push you and challenge you. So if you think about all the best sports teams out there, the good coaches will challenge their individuals, their players to do the best that they can by making them do things that they're uncomfortable with sometimes.
Thank you so much, Prajesh. I enjoyed this session a lot, and I
No
get a chance to
worries.
learn a lot from you, especially
No
you need to
worries.
understand that number of times again you're right you feel that you stopped, but on the other side maybe you're working, you're progressing, so you need to be take someone's help in this regard he or she will guide you what's the best in which direction you have to work on that.
Totally. And they will always help you move forward. And if those of you that want to follow me, I have an Instagram account. It's at Pambili Coaching, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, and I'm happy to chat to anyone who's thinking about the space or who wants to know more about if they need to have a coach in their world.
Thank you so much,
Beautiful.
Prajesh. Great. I'll
No worries.
definitely share all these
Thanks so
links
much.
in the caption, and you must go through these things. I hope you enjoyed this session. And for me, it's something different to know more about NLP. And thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day and take care.